Country kid shenanigans. They're in a pond liner.
The fact that it wasn't completely dilapidated to the point of no return.
It is pretty crazy. Alright, make sure that's really going. Yeah, it's
Whenever
going.
we get more of that brown caulking, we still got to do inside here.
I know. For some reason, when I did it before, I couldn't see that. Like I got on the
light
ground.
has to be right.
Yeah, because I was like, oh, I got it all.
The light
No,
has to be right.
there's a lot of spaces.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
well.
all good. Those are small little projects, man. Like I said, once summer hits, boy, we're gonna have a lot of fun out here all summer doing little projects and getting it done.
Absolutely.
Like some more of these little sticks and stuff.
Yep. I hated doing that. It always felt like there was a spider falling on me.
And see how you did that foam over there? That
Yeah.
worked well.
Oh, absolutely. And over there, I didn't get, but I probably should.
Just wants to go adding another chimney, taking the chimneys apart and getting all the crews off. I'm pressure washing this. I'm gonna take the.
You think it'll work, or you think we have to scrape it?
I'll have to scrape to a certain extent, but if I'm gonna put a good bit of like bleach solvent, is this on?
Yeah, it's okay. We'll start in a minute.
Some of the solvent on there, just spray it.
Okay, so I figured since our content is kind of scarce because of the weather, it is what you said. It's 15 degrees.
It's about 15 right now.
Yeah, it was 9 overnight, so it's
Actually,
cold.
we're down to 7.
It went down to 7. It's been cold and snowy and icy, so we're really not doing a lot of work out here. But I want to make sure that we're still delivering videos to you guys, so that you have something to watch.
We usually out here, this is considered Indiana County, but we live in Armstrong County.
Westmoreland.
Westmoreland, on the border of Armstrong County, where our actual home is at. And the average snow amount to this point for Vandergrift, it's about 25 inches. And then we've got like 50 inches of snow.
Yeah.
And out this way, I looked last night, the average out here is like 28 inches. They've gotten 53 inches of snow in this location where we're at, which
Yeah.
is Indiana County. And
Yep,
it's
Indiana
called
County.
Norrietown Road, but it's, anyways, we're out in the sticks basically. So, good.
Anyway, so I figured that since we don't have a lot of homestead content to give you guys, we could talk about us. Some of you guys that know us, like from Facebook and Instagram, you already know our story. But a lot of you guys are just YouTubers from all over the country, sometimes all over the world. So we figured we would let you guys into our lives and tell you a little bit about us. So I guess I'll start. I grew up, kind of around this area, like 25 minutes from here. I grew up in a little town called Vandergrift, but I wasn't actually in the town of Vandergrift. I was on the outskirts, and it was kind of country. I didn't have any siblings. It was just me, my mom, my dad. My grandparents lived next door to me. But I grew up in the country, and I loved it. And I rode my bike every day, and I played in the woods, and I picked berries and climbed trees. Broke my leg making a tree swing one time. That's about it. I was a country girl, and I absolutely loved it. I was a tomboy. I did go to church. I went to church on Sundays with my grandma, and I'm happy about that.
I actually grew up about 6 miles from here in the one location, which was Avamore, and then another location, which was Brownstown, which was even more secluded than Avamore. That would have been probably about 10 miles from here. It wasn't very far from this actual location. The irony is that she saw this location, the location I'm talking about in in Norrietown. It's actually Salzburg, but it's between Norrietown and Salzburg. She saw this on Facebook on one of the cell sites.
Craigslist.
Craigslist. And she mentioned it to me. I go, yeah, I know that. I know where that's at. She was kind of like, really? I was like, yeah, I actually had been out here for a pig roast when I was like 13. So it kind of tells you pig roast, you're in the country.
For some reason, I thought that this was really far away.
Yeah, to her. And
you know what?
Like, it's so
really
secluded and it's back on back roads that it is kind of far away. It's off the beaten path, per se. So I told her I knew where it was at, and we came out and looked at it, and we liked it, because it really.
We actually forgot about it.
For a while,
we talked about it. We forgot about it. We did a job out here for somebody, and on the way back, we saw Norrietown Road, and I was like, "Hey, remember that place?"
Right.
And he was like, "We should go look at it."
Check it out. To that point, what really stimulated my interest was I knew how I liked to live when I was younger, which was pretty much free. Not a lot of neighbors. Small town feel, and just kind of do what you want to do, and with everybody, not everybody being in your business, and not everybody kind of persuades you to do the typical American lifestyle, if you will, which is more of an industrial way of living. Nothing's wrong with that. It is easy, so having a flushable toilet, having the normal amenities is obviously something that everybody likes to a certain degree. But as I've gotten older, I've kind of gone back to more of my traditional youth roots, which was go play. Be around animals and just have a good time. So this kind of allows us to do that. We're not living, completely off grid, if you will. We don't have solar panels. We don't, none of that stuff. But eventually that might be something we get. Right now it's mainly just raising chickens and trying to get some pigs, livestock in that way, and building off of what we had and adding to it. This actual place you see here was loaded with a ton of junk.
Yeah.
This little garage area,
which is in one of our videos. If you go back, if you go to our channel and go back to some of our first videos, there's one that I think it's called "Garage Turned into Tiny Home." Technically, this isn't a tiny home. It has to be under 400 square feet or something, and this is a little bigger than that.
This would be for top and bottom like 800
For
square
7 people, this is a tiny home. There's 7 of us, and we have all boys. And boys are big, so.
Oh, we have a daughter too, but she's.
Well, yeah, but
she's
she's not part of our adventure right now.
Right now, she's not doing the adventure stuff. So that being said, as far as what it was to what it has become in less than 1 year, we actually got the deed last October officially.
It's only been like 8 months.
Yeah, last October officially we got the deed. But prior to that, the only thing we really did was trim the 6-foot tall weeds that was all over the property, and then and we took out all the junk. And once we got the official deed, we were able to get our hands down here a little bit more often and get ourselves down here a little bit more often. We started doing all this, which was, adding a floor, caulking areas, painting it, adding furniture, adding new electric. That was a big one because the electric was pretty faulty and some of it got cut when we were demoing. So stuff like that. And here we are. We got our chickens. We got our greenhouse outside. We're now building another building. And we're doing it all out of predominantly scrap wood, pallet boards, 2x4s, miscellaneous wood that we get really cheap, if not for free. The size of the building is 16 by 24 with 10.5-foot ceilings, if you will. And no, actually the walls would be 11.6, so 11.6 high walls. And it's pretty big. We're actually looking to stay under $2,000. We're on budget right now to do so for the complete build. That's all the wood, all the windows, all the doors, electric, everything. So that's pretty cool. And then on top up here, we're still working to probably put a pavilion in a couple of months. And right now we're getting crates for her, ours, but her mainly because she doesn't more than I do. A raised garden.
Raised beds.
Raised bed, raised garden.
Yeah, container gardening, raised beds.
Crates are pretty cool. She'll show you, I'm sure, on some of the videos.
Yeah, there's, I haven't uploaded it yet, but there's a video of us flipping one in the snow.
Yeah, it was a task.
That was no fun.
Yeah.
But, so maybe you guys would like to know how we met. We actually met, I think, I'm like 99% sure that I not really met him, but ran into him
Church.
when we were like 9,
Yeah.
10 years old. Because like I said before, I used to go to church with my grandma, and then once my grandma passed away, actually my grandma would still have been alive still, but when we had away services, like whenever another church in the area would invite us over, our church would go, and I would often ride with one of my friends. So we go out to this church in Avonmore, which I thought Avonmore was in the sticks, like I had never heard of it. It felt like it took 3 hours to get there. Really, it was like 25 minutes. But we went out to this church, and my friend and I, we were kids. We really didn't want to be in church service for 3 hours. If anybody knows anything about Baptist churches, their services are long.
Yeah, it's a marathon.
The goal is to eat the food at the end. At least it was for me. The dinner that came afterwards. Anyway, so during the service, we weren't actually in church. We were out walking around, on the streets and everything. And my friend and I saw these 2 little boys. And of course, we were girls and we were trying to get married at 10. And we were always scouting boys. So we're like, who are they? And we were trying to like get their attention, but they were like rude boys. No pun intended for the Rihanna
We
song.
had chores.
Anyway, no, they were like kicking rocks and doing stuff that didn't matter.
And
we wanted to play with them or do something.
It was a Baptist Christian Sunday.
They ignored us. Anyway, so I didn't know that it was probably him and one of his cousins, because I know one was light and one was darker. So it was either Jaron or Bobby, probably. Anyway, so that's how we first met. And then we went to high school together.
Me.
Yeah, he was the lighter one. So then we went to high school together, junior high. I cheered for his basketball team. Again, I knew of him. I didn't know really who he was. I cheered extra loud for him because, I don't know, you and a couple other people I cheered really, really loud for. I don't know why. It was just something that happened. Anyway, go to high school together. He starts dating one of my best friends. I start dating one of his best friends. Well, needless to say, those relationships didn't work out, and we ended up together. It was kind of, I don't know, kind of ironic.
Was it Earth?
Yeah, it was
Things
ironic.
like that happen, yeah.
We had our first child I was 20.
Yep.
He was 21. No, you weren't 21 yet.
I had not turned 21.
Yeah, we were both 20 when we had our first child. That was different.
The 13th, and I turned 21 September the 1st.
Yeah. A year later, we had another child.
August the 20th.
Yep. About 3.5 years later, we had another child.
Uh-huh.
And we just kept going for
6.
3 more.
6 was the total.
Yeah. We hit 6 and we stopped.
Our last one is now 10 years old. So, kind of tell you. I'm 42. She's 41.
Yep.
Yeah. So there you go. That's the little story on how we met, and now we're trying to make the second part of our lives what we always wanted, which was a homestead and kind of just a little bit more free living, not being worried about the mighty dollar all the time, and just kind of working hard to buy and ascertain and gain the things that we want now while we have our health and our wellness, thank God. And then, so we can kind of cruise through our 50s and 60s doing the things that we really enjoy, and hopefully longer than that. That's the goal, you know. So far, so good.
Yeah.
So we're contemplating, and there's a pretty good chance that we'll buy some more property in actually New Mexico in the next 3 or 4 years.
New Mexico.
And,
I had, oh my gosh. Okay, so he tells me one day, he's like, I've been looking at property, what would that be, Midwest?
Yeah, Midwest, Southwest.
Southwest, right? So, and then he says New Mexico. So I start researching it, and it seems like a really nice area. They have cold nights and they have snow. It's a lot like Pennsylvania. Yeah, but they have a lot of sun. If anybody has lived in PA where we're at, it rains a lot. And when you do have sunny days, you cherish those days. But down in New Mexico, there's a lot of sun, not a lot of rain. Water is scarce. Anyway, he told me, I looked up what the like bugs and things like that were like down there, because I don't really like bugs or snakes. And there's snakes.
There's a lot of snakes in this place we got.
There's rattlesnakes in New Mexico, and I had a horrible dream last night that this rattlesnake was trying to get our little kitten. Her name's Yentl, and it was trying to get at Josh.
She's obsessed with cats.
Oh my God! Listen, I was like a warrior fighting this snake.
You gotta be that way. You're trying to save your cats.
I don't think I'd be that way in real life. I would try, but
we had there was probably about I don't know. We killed numerous snakes in this place.
Yeah.
And a couple of them bad boys were good 5-footers, black snakes, big snakes. Man. We haven't had any more issues with them once we got rid of the mates, if you will, that were producing babies. We haven't had any more issues. So if you do what you got to do, you're careful with snakes. They usually will leave you alone. But yeah, so Southwest, and then we would like to secure probably some more property in Pennsylvania as well. Having 6 siblings and 5 boys that are really on the boat right now, I'd like to think they're going to stay that way, with being part of the homestead lifestyle and giving them an acre or 2 here and there. And they work inclusive with us with the Bailey's junk removal business. And we kind of just want to have something that's more like a family monopoly, where we all can have property. We can all have some form of livestock and birds, ducks, chickens to feed us, and maybe eventually some goats for milk and things like that. And just have a more sustainable life and not leave such a big footprint. Obviously, with it being the computer age and the generation of our kids growing up with computers, they still enjoy those things, and we don't expect them not to. We just want to be, I guess you see, less amped up on the industrial and more amped up on the self-sustaining level. And that's slowly what we're doing. We've always had that kind of nature between the two of us, like where we wanted more of a simple life.
Little House on the Prairie. That was my motivation. I love that show, Little House on the Prairie.
I like that show. I like Andy Griffin. Not that he was that kind of way, but it kind of goes back to a simpler life. And of course, Bonanza. Bonanza was great. And they had a huge ranch, but it still was a simple life. I mean, livestock was their main source of income. So I don't know. I think that gives you a little bit more ability to reflect on self as well as the ones you love, versus being wondering what's going on in the world all the time and reading tabloids and seeing all this political genre and stuff going on all the time. It just kind of lets you separate from that.
Well, the more things you have, like if you have a really big house and you have 2 or 3 cars and you have a swimming pool and you have all this, you have all these things, all these material things, and you spend your life working to pay for them or to keep them up, and you lose a lot of time
distracted.
Yeah, with the people that you really want to be here with.
Right.
I mean,
there is a catch-22 to it. I mean, like, what's your options? That's for you guys to make, make a decision on. I know for us, I always had a separatist type of point of view, and separatist as in I wasn't one to go work at the mill or go work. I would do it to support my family, but in the back of my mind, I always knew I wanted to have things that were mine that I worked for, particularly land, that allowed me to do the things that made me most comfortable, plant, earth things, mow my grass when I wanted to, go out in the woods and sit there all day if I want to, and not have to be on somebody else's time clock or be on somebody else's payroll. So it was like, I think we subject ourselves in part because we have to, And, we go to school and we learn, like, hey, this is what you have to do to pay your bills and to pay your taxes.
And then you start wanting to keep up with the Joneses.
You have to kind of keep up with the Joneses, otherwise you get left behind. But if you think outside the box and you have the wherewithal and you have the health to be able to do what we did, do it. I know that can be scary. You're like, okay, so I'm not going to get a loan, I'm not going to get a mortgage, I'm going to go find property, buy it with a building on it, renovate the building, and add to it with your own hands.
Which doesn't come without a lot of sacrifice.
There's a lot of sacrifice.
You have to sacrifice. There was a point whenever we lived in an apartment. It was a studio apartment. No, it was a big apartment.
10 years.
It was like 2,000 square feet.
A big apartment.
For about 10 years with us and our 6 kids. At one point, my grandfather lived there.
It didn't lack space,
life.
but it still lacked
His mother lived with
seclusion.
us at one point. Yeah,
Yeah.
so we
Privacy.
lived in that for almost 10 years. We cut our cable out.
Yeah. Gave cars away.
Yeah, we did. We
Drove
didn't have a car
bikes.
for a whole year. We rode bikes around town and did stuff like that. We bought a little one of those carts for kids that you pull behind your bike to get groceries. I mean,
and stuff like that.
we really thought outside the box and had to get to a point where we really didn't care what other
gotta get
people were
comfortable
saying
with
about us.
Yeah.
I had to be really humble and ask a lot of people for rides when I had to go grocery shopping. But it was worth it, and we had great people around us that were like, sure, no problem.
You have to get comfortable with the idea of being different.
Yeah.
Because if you're not comfortable with that, then it's not something for you. We are definitely not afraid to be different. And there is some scrutiny that comes along with that. I don't mind. It doesn't really bother me too much what people think. Ultimately, that goes back to being comfortable and enjoying what you're doing. And if you enjoy what you're doing, who cares? I mean, the one thing I thought about the other day is how salt trucks have been going all over the place and salting these roads, and some of these roads are still horrible. To scrutinize them, and I'm sure a lot of people do, but the reality of it is they're still out there with the salt doing their job. If the salt is ineffective, it's ineffective. It doesn't mean that they weren't doing their job well. So take everything with a grain of salt, if you will. Don't be so worried about what other people think. Think if you're particularly doing the things that you know you're supposed to be doing and that you enjoy. Also, too, we have a tendency to measure our ability and to measure our worth with a dollar sign. And I think that's some to an extent where we went wrong. Because if you start measuring your worth with money, man, just because you have $1 million doesn't mean that you're doing the best you could be doing. It also doesn't mean that you're doing better than the janitor, emotionally, spiritually. So you got to look at those type of things as well. But anyways, yeah, I'm sure we'll be making more videos to kind of keep you guys posted on our progress and, some integral things that we've done around here and things that we will be doing over the next 4 to 5 weeks.
Yeah.
In particular, we're going to be finishing that building. The weather's kind of halted us, but I think another 30 to 40 hours of work with 4 or 5 of us should get that building done, which is a good 2 weekends. So this weekend coming up, it's actually supposed to warm up, but of course they're calling for rain. So we'll see. We still work in the rain. We work in any weather, but you can only work outside so long when it's 20 degrees and you're in the snow constantly. Your feet are getting cold, your hands are getting cold.
Yeah.
So hopefully this weekend, if it does rain, it holds off into the latter parts of the day, so we can come off 3 or 4 hours and start framing some more. I'd say it's probably 60-70% done framing wise.
Yeah.
We don't have that much left.
Yeah. We bumped the temperature up about 8 or 9 degrees in here,
Pretty cool.
and the stovepipe is going at about 300 degrees.
Yeah, right behind us.
Yeah.
We've only been in there maybe half hour.
Yeah.
So
So if you guys have any questions, anything you'd like to know about us or what we're doing, feel free to add it in the comment section. Thank you guys for watching our videos. Thank you for liking. Thank you for sharing and subscribing. And it's kind of cool to share this experience with you guys.
adios.
Peace out.
I'm just lining those up down here for now.
Yeah, I'm taking my coat off whenever we do these other ones because I'm not.
That's what I'm talking about.
I want to show this one though. I want to show you guys this really cool box. It's a shipping crate. Can you pull this out, Josh? I can't do it with one hand. Anyway, if you see this right here, it's a joint that allows you to collapse it, and then you can open it back up. And there's a bottom to it. Yeah, which you can use, or you don't even have to use a bottom, to be honest. You can put some mulch in the bottom of it to stop the weeds from coming up. And that's the top. Anyway, $5. How cool is that? If you guys look around, just look around. Craigslist, Facebook. He does that. He's the searcher. Pretty cool. Those will be raised garden beds. Hey guys, so we finally got to hear what it sounds like whenever the roosters give their warning call. And it was like this really low, gosh, I can't do it, I'll sound dumb. But it was this really low call, the sound that he made that I've never heard before. And immediately, all the hens, except for like 4 or 5, went in the coop. I mean, as fast as they could. So like that's how they talk to each other. That's the first time we've experienced that, so it's pretty cool for us. And now the Polish rooster was out rounding them up.